knows how to dialogue with their mind for maximum success? If you know, put your hand up. Who knows how to properly manifest to get whatever you want? Anyone know? This is good because I love an audience that I can teach from scratch. Who knows how to powerfully build their self-esteem? Good, I'm glad you know. Who knows the job of your parents? What is it? Oh, right. What is the job of your parents for you? What is your parents' job when they raise you? Anyone know? Yeah, a parent's job is to massively raise their kids' self-esteem, but they don't know that. No one teaches them, hey, this is how to raise a kid. It doesn't matter how much organic broccoli you give them, how many languages, but if you don't raise children with high self-esteem, you haven't really done your job. Now, I would never say I was the most amazing parent. I learned as I went along and I made a lot of mistakes, but I know now what I didn't know then. My job was to raise a kid with phenomenally high self-esteem. Luckily, it's never too late to do that. So I want to teach you 3 things today. How to massively raise your own self-esteem. Because the truth is, if you are looking for your self-esteem in a place outside of you, you're never going to find it. We'll go, I'm going to wear great Nike trainers. I'm going to be an A student. I'm going to get a really hot boyfriend or girlfriend, and then I'll have high self-esteem. No. Unless you're looking in here for it, you're not going to find it. You cannot find high self-esteem looking for a place outside of yourself. So we're going to work on how do you raise your self-esteem. We're going to work on how do you dialogue with your own mind. How do you become the CEO of your own brain? And we're going to put it all together. I'm going to teach you something. It's what I call a nicer meditation, how to be a powerful manifester. So first of all, let's talk about your mind. You know, I trained with very eminent psychologists all over the world, and they all told me a lie. They didn't know it was a lie. They all said, oh, you know, the mind is very, very, very complicated. And if you want to be a therapist, well, you've got to learn the workings of the mind. And by the way, it takes a lifetime to understand how your mind works, and a second lifetime to apply. I thought, well, how does that work then? That doesn't even make sense. The mind would go, hey, here's a brilliant brain, and when you're 85, with a bit of luck, you might crack it. But unless you believe in reincarnation, how are you going to even apply that stuff? That just never made sense to me. And I've always thought outside the box and challenged everything. So then I began to study, well, how does the mind work? Is it really complex? Does it really take a lifetime to understand? No, it doesn't. You can actually understand the workings of your mind probably in 5 minutes. And I'll tell you what they are in 5 minutes. And the most important one to understand is the first one. Your mind does what it thinks you want it to do, and it bases it on one thing, what you tell yourself. I don't want to fail my exams. I don't want to mess up in front of this hot person that I'm attracted to. I don't want to speak and go, and look like an idiot. And what you're telling your mind is, I don't want to do that. And your mind's job, which is a really interesting job, is to make your thoughts real. If you know from the time you were 2, and I'm working a lot now, I've got my RTT in schools because I want people to understand. Your mind's job is to make your thoughts real. Your thoughts aren't even thoughts, they are blueprints. Every thought you think, your mind, your body, and your psyche work to make real. So here's a question. If your mind's job is to make your thoughts real, what's your job? What do you think your job is? Great job, by the way. What is it? Think better thoughts. I mean, imagine if we taught kids that at 5. Your mind's job is making your thoughts real, and your job is think better thoughts. Because every day your mind makes your thoughts real. So when you understand the workings of your mind, point 1 is your mind does what it thinks you want. And if you go, I don't want to be rejected, I don't want to be dumped, I don't want to fail, I don't want to get it wrong. I didn't want to go to school on Wednesday and take that exam. Your mind goes, okay, I'm tuning in. Don't want to go to school on Wednesday. Why don't I give you a raging headache, chronic diarrhea? I don't really care. I just understand to give you what you want. And you've got to be very careful. This is the genie. Your wish is its command. Be careful what you wish for. if you start saying things like, oh, I'm not good at attention, or I want attention, I want lots and lots of attention. That sounds like a good thought, doesn't it? Let's imagine I wake up and I'm thinking, I want attention, I want attention, I want so much attention. The genie is tuning into what I want, attention. But I could have explosive gas, I'm going to get lots of attention. For that, I could go out and start shoplifting. I could start acting in a really weird way because I didn't tell my mind I want positive attention for being smart or kind or interesting. So the mind is not logical. It just tunes into what you think. And when you think better thoughts, you change your life. But in a minute, I'll show you how to do it. But understand, you only need to know 3 things about your mind to have it always on your side. Does what it thinks you want, and it bases it on what you tell yourself. Who's ever done this and thought, oh God, I'm so stressed. I've got so much work and studies. I would love a few days off just lying on the sofa. Anyone ever wished for that? Anyone notice that they get the flu? Or they get sick because the mind said, well, you said you wanted some days off lying on the sofa. I've given it to you. Who's ever thought, I'm dreading this exam? One of my clients told me that when she was a kid, she had to take an exam and she was so anxious, she actually went and put her hands on her mother's hair tongs and burnt her hand so she wouldn't have to take the exam. Another of my clients said she put her hand through a plate glass window because she was so anxious about taking an exam. But what their dialogue and what they're saying is, I don't want to do it, I can't do it, I got to get out of it. How about if I burn my hand, lacerate my hand? That's really horrifying when all you have to say to your mind is, hey mind, I got a great memory, I'm going to ace that exam, it's going to be amazing, I'm smart, I remember everything. My mind is like Google. It takes in everything, because the truth is every book you've ever read, every lesson you've sat through, you do remember everything if you tell your mind that. So point 1 is your mind is always doing what it thinks you want. If you haven't got what you want, but if you've got lots of stuff you don't want, you haven't learned how to expertly dialogue with your mind. But I'm going to teach you today. Point 2 is the way you feel about everything. It's really simple. It all comes back to 2 things. The pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself, which you are free to change. The way you feel about everything is down to the pictures you make in your head and the words you say. I don't want to get on that plane, it's going to crash. I love getting on a plane. I've got 3 hours to read a book, eat some food, do what I like. I don't like being the focus of attention. I love being the focus of attention. I don't want to go on this date in case I get rejected. I'm going to go on a date. I'm going to meet someone amazing. It's all going to work out. So if the way you feel about everything comes down to the pictures you make and the words you say, that means that your job is to make better pictures and say better words all the time. And it becomes really, really easy. And the third thing, which is very vexing for therapists like me, is that our mind loves what is familiar and really hates what is unfamiliar. If our mind could choose, it would always run back over here to what's familiar and run away from what's over there, which is unfamiliar. So something unfamiliar, I've got to learn a new language, go to a new school, meet new people. I've got to do something new. And the mind goes, no, let's go over here. You see, familiar kept you alive once. If you lived in a fort, you wouldn't go, hey, a bit bored with life in a fort. There's some native Indians, I think I'll go and hang out with them because they might kill you. So we learned a long time ago, familiar keeps us safe and unfamiliar might kill us. But here's the thing, if your mind loves what is familiar, all you've got to do is make good stuff familiar. And one of the things you can do to make familiar that will change your entire life is to make self-praise familiar. I'm good, I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm nice, I'm interesting. You can say whatever you like. I'm compelling, I'm fascinating. You have to start to make good words familiar. If you want to change your life on a dime, I cannot recommend enough. Make self-praise familiar, even more familiar. Go over here to self-praise, make it so familiar. And make criticizing yourself unfamiliar. Move away from that. I'm an idiot, I got rocks for brains, I mess everything up. You can change your life so quickly by making praise and self-belief familiar by constantly doing it, and meanwhile make criticism unfamiliar. See, your mind can't go in two lanes. Here we are, this is a highway, there's that lane and there's that lane. In this lane, I'm confident, I'm making praise familiar, I believe I've got something to offer the world, I'm nice, I'm smart. And this lane is, oh God, I'm really anxious and I get things wrong, I'm not very good. But you can't be in both lanes. There's no way you can drive in both those lanes simultaneously.